Yeah.
Welcome everyone to Adjacent with Jace, the tabletop interview review show for Adventures in Ethoria, brought to you by Black Tower Stories. I am, of course, your host, Jace. And with me again, he's back again to calm all the hate. Entering the den, he's taken the bait. No more easy questions, the line has been crossed. Eric has entered the dungeon of the final boss. Eric, how's it going?
Pretty good, I guess. I just saw the episode title for the first time and was like, oh man. See, this is why you do the episode titles.
Yes.
Because the rest of us suck.
I took some inspiration from, there was a little bit of needs in there, and the pun, I appreciated the needs pun in there as well. So, always fun.
Yes.
If you didn't know, the Adjacent with Jace with Bevo is also live on YouTube. I managed to get that one edited last night and posted today, as well as the episode from Tuesday is also on our YouTube channel. If you would like to, moderators, you can post the links to our YouTube so they could find that if they wanted to. But with me today is the Dungeon Master himself of our campaign, Eric. You are in a different location, I assume in some type of hidden bunker.
Yes. After all that mess I did to Gander last week, I'm in fear for my life because apparently existential crises lead to people performing some violence on others.
I do see him at work, and the look of just hate in his face every day, like, ooh.
Yeah. So
either he hates you or he hates his job. It could be either at this point. I knew what it was before. But thank you for coming on to the show, and there are some very good questions I'm sure everyone will have for you, because we've gone through a month and a half now of you, and man, irritation is probably really high with some people. I have
with some of the players.
Probably.
It's being a dungeon master. A lot of times, it's like herding cats. And sometimes they're cute and cuddly. Sometimes they piss on your furniture. It just
just always piss on your furniture. I've been a dungeon master. I am very aware of this analogy. But I have a question right off the bat. I didn't go and write up the questions on the screen for you this time because I feel like that was kind of cheating. It let me know what I was going to talk about, and sometimes I don't want to do that. I will start with my typical softball question. I kind of lied in the introduction about, not having any easy questions. It's been a month and a half, 8 episodes in. How are things going in your mind? Are we just kind of fiddling around and not getting things done, or are we what you expected?
No, you guys are actually kind of getting through some stuff a little bit faster than I expected. Obviously, the big difference is you guys had said when we were prepping for this campaign that you didn't want something like what we had last campaign, where it was just this. There was a couple big arcs, and they just kind of weaved in and out. You guys said, "No, we want to do dungeon delving and more traditional adventure shit." So I prepped a lot of potential content for this tutorial and ways that I thought you guys could go, understanding that you guys would probably not do half of it. But you guys more or less did the important stuff, though not in the order I expected, which caused some problems.
Well, we've got that idea from there. Based on the fact that we were underleveled for the main fight, and then we circled back and did the side quest that we were supposed to do beforehand, like way out of order. Like, oh, kidnapped a kid. Probably should have done that first.
Yes, that was. But the crazy thing about that one is I was planning to drop that on you with like Lawless rushing in to the tavern while you guys were having lunch and being like, oh, hey, I mean, have you seen Milo, all that good stuff. But earlier that session, you had said, you know what, fuck it, I want to go into the mountains. And I was like, oh, what? So, yeah, it just became a timing thing. And so it was like, all right, cool. I guess you guys are going to do this, counterclockwise. That's cool. That's cool.
Plan to fail, fail to plan. Forget the plan. Everything's on fire.
Yeah, it's fine. So I had to kind of rush over and adjust some fights. But the intention there was like that second fight was supposed to be more like your intro primer fight. Nothing too complicated there. It's pretty straightforward. And then the second one was supposed to be a more involved fight after you got a little bit of experience under your belt. And you guys went and did the cool thing first, and pretty much everything that came after was just kind of like meh.
Now we want to do the fun stuff first. We have some good questions coming in. Thank you, everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to do the Q4, then at who you'd like to ask, either myself or Eric, or just put Dungeon Master or everybody, and then we will collect those and start getting on the questions. I have another question that I prepared, and it's kind of a pet peeve out of the irritation that a lot of us players have with you, and it is an issue with spelling. So what I have done, instead of going and collecting a bunch of stats, which is kind of boring, I went through my notes from last campaign and this campaign, and I collected quite a bit of words, and I would like you to spell them for me, and I will compare them to the proper spelling based off of
that I provided you.
Yes.
All right. This is gonna go very poorly.
So, my pronunciation probably not gonna help because they're written in the way that you would have written them. Arginwen. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Arginwine.
Arginwine.
So ARGINWYNN.
Could you repeat that one more time?
ARGINWYNN. And it may have an E on the end.
I am sorry, but that is incorrect. WREN.
Oh, Ren. Okay.
This is a town on the map that I had to zoom in, and I've got it, but I'm sorry.
Yes. Argin Ren, that should be up near Eladon, I think.
Probably. I don't know. But also, no looking at the map, that would be cheating. So I will be looking at your glasses for reflection.
Well, you said last campaign, so
that was
when you said that, I was like...
Also to throw you off, because I didn't want you to
okay, all right.
There are last campaign questions on here. But I will go on to a question from the chat, because they've got quite a few on here. Question for Eric. With the tutorial over and the players getting to know each other more, how does it look with the training wheels finally coming off? Are you excited, unexcited? You're a little worried about things aren't working the way you thought they would?
Okay, so here's the thing. Obviously, my players know this, though I did try and dial it down, make it less obvious for some people. I was very cautious about how having a couple new players, not just to Dungeons and Dragons, but also to me as a dungeon master, because I tend to run games kind of specific ways, and lethality is a big deal. So I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna freaking kill some people really early on, but that actually didn't happen.
Came close.
So yeah, but so everything is going well, I think, though it is kind of funny because you sit there with character backstory sheets and you have an idea about how this person is going to play this character based on the information they provided you, and then all of that goes right out of the window as soon as the roleplay happens. So there are some things where some players have done something or said something and I had to go, wait a second, that contradicts with their backstory. It's all right, let me make a note of this, because clearly something has changed.
I like to think that I've been fairly straightforward. My backstory was basic bitch. I like to think it was this is as simple as possible, mostly because I'm running the stream and I can't think of a lot of shit when I'm doing this stuff. So
well, yeah, and you have the benefit of playing a character who is part of a dynasty that has been around as long as this campaign world has been around.
Yeah. That's a good answer for the question. Let's go on to the next question here. What was the first big curveball the players made for you as the DM?
Well, okay, I'm gonna do two things. First off, jumping right into the final battle, because that was the worst part. Is I was thinking I didn't have like much planned for that fight, because I knew that was going to be coming down the road. And so I had to like take everything I was planning to do, set it aside, and then jump ahead. It's like, oh man, this is bad. Uh, so yeah, I had to pull out some DM stops there. The first curveball though took place actually in session 0, or I guess technically session 1, and that was Milton. Is first off, I was or not Milton, Mizak, but one of the many entities that Gorback calls
the amalgamation of
Milton. Yes, but that was a side quest that I had set aside, and I figured maybe you guys would do it, and it just so happened that instead of during the session, it happened during a session 0. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And all of that like went good and it resolved, and I was like, oh, well, okay, yeah, that's nice. And then all of a sudden, Bevo, session 1, was like, I want to save Milton! And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. I thought this was over, but apparently now it's not over. And so now this character has gone from being to being a side character that was supposed to maybe test your guys' murder hobo feelings, your appetite for that, to being a non-issue, to being a major issue, to now being a recurring character, to now being like a prominent NPC, or at least so far in the campaign. Yeah, so I did not expect the kobold to become a sailor. But hey, that works, I guess.
Still waiting for the fan art of that kobold in a little sailor Donald Duck outfit. I look forward to that eventually. But we got Gander being pissed off. I much rather appreciate that one.
Yeah, I know. Like,
our artist does a great job. And thank you, Spars324. I do appreciate it. And all you saying I like my ego stroked, everyone knows that. But I can try. On to the next question, but first I have another question about the past and spelling. There were the Hands of the Golden Forge, a well-known, prominent guild of traveled adventurers of power. They also had quite a few NPCs in their guild. Name
that's true.
The most prominent 4 that were named and had several interactions. I would like first and last names if they had them. I did write them down.
First and last name.
If they had them, I did write them down.
Yeah, so you have Shosker. Statistically, he's a Goliath, but in my world, that would be a Vana. He doesn't have a last name. He's actually from Terza. And he hooked up with Elowain of Miranel, who is an elven diviner who was from the county Miranel, down near Castle Ulnor. She originally apprenticed to Greylon the Abjurer, who sided with Carangarth, the Margrave there, and sided with the Duke of Lynn, but that's last campaign stuff. Shosker traveled with Darvek Stonehammer, who is a member of the Stonehammer clan in Hammerhearth in Moradun, a very prominent dwarven... I saw it! Oh, that's also from the present map. You can't use that one. Anyway, so yeah, from Hammerhearth, and then there was also Willem de Friend. Now, to be fair,
Willem de Friend. Damn it!
I did not. That last name is something that the players came up with, and it just became canon. And I got overruled on that. Well, it's like, nah, man, he's lowborn. He doesn't have a name. And they're like, no, his last name's de Friend. It's like, all right.
It's the play on the Willem Dafoe, so he's a Willem de Friend, and clearly I had to play in that one because I refused to not call him that. He was a blacksmith who really doesn't have a job when you have a forge cleric in the party. So
yeah,
anything he could do, the forge cleric could do in an hour. Magic is kind of cheap. I'm upset with the lack of like craftsmanship in D&D 5e, but you did get it correct. I give you that. I hope I clicked the right button. Nope.
Isgarth, Aukenfer,
Yeah.
which are all major prominent cities in the current map.
Yeah. Yeah, those are Darvek, Eloane, Shosker, and Willem Defriend are all on the old one. So congratulations, you remembered. The one I was worried about was Willem Defriend, if you got the Defriend part. But you got it. Good job. 2 claps. Yeah. This is my enthusiasm. On to the next question. Yeah. What's the craziest character you have ever had to deal with in a campaign, or any campaign? Because that would be more fun. If it could be in this campaign, I'll fucking
craziest character. Well, I think it would actually have to be a tie. Great Campaign 1. Ajax, the Storm Giant fighter. That was back. I was new to Dungeon Mastering. In hindsight, that was a really bad idea, but it was funny.
We had a genie in the party. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and that would be the other one. That would be Tyler's character, and that was Guru. He was a noble djinn. That one was pretty bad because I let him play a genie, and he said, "Can I grant wishes?" I said, "Look, the monster manual says that only 1% of genies can grant wishes. So if you roll a D percentile and get 100, fine. I'll let you grant wishes." And I'll be damned if that son of a bitch rolled 100. So, but that was actually... Yes, and it works out that he decided he wanted to become a god. So he basically... His character kind of abandoned that campaign and traveled around the world building temples so that people would worship him as a god.
Ajax with his Ajax shocking sword.
Which is why they call him Ajax, the wielder of ass.
It's big stick theory. Axel made ass, which doesn't sound great, but yes.
I also remember the plate mail that you guys ordered specially for him because he was so massive. And they're your dwarven guys were like, "Hey, this is going to take a while." And you were like, "Yeah, no problem. This is where we're going. Just meet us up there." And so basically you guys were traveling, and like 2 weeks behind you was this group of dwarves who were traveling around with this plate mail. They'd show up a place like, "Oh, they're not here. They went there." It's like, "Oh, okay." And so...
Well, the plate was the size of a cart. So you couldn't wield it on a cart. You had to have like a thing.
And so... Finally, at the end of the campaign, you guys were stuck on this island for 2 weeks, and then, like, right before you guys were going into the final battle, these haggard dwarves show up in a boat going, "Oh my god, my lord, we just found you! Here!"
Oh shit, I totally forgot about this. Hey, Ajax, he's not with us anymore. We went and did something. Shit.
Yeah, so...
It did cost like 100 times more than a regular breastplate would have cost, though, because of the size.
Yeah, that's true.
The third edition, they had a rule for monstrous races, and they had like a leveling scale. Like if you start at level 1, you're actually like a minus
level adjustment.
Yeah. In 5th edition, doesn't have that. They just do monstrous race, and you're not as good. Whatever. On to the next question. Next question is, Eric, are there any alternative paths that could have happened so far that you're willing or able to disclose? Like, I don't know, did we miss anything on an island? Because I don't think we're going back except for...
Define miss.
I would say...
There were at least 3 side quests you did not pick up that could have generated additional loot.
Are they important to, like, a storyline if we were to go back?
No, they're...
Were any of them...
shouldn't say that. But there were 2 or really 3 major quest lines. And one was the temple, one was Milo, and one was Kian. And so you pretty much handled those. Now, obviously, stuff could have gone sideways if you guys had really pissed off Rydian and the Lyceum wanted to make things very difficult for you. That could have been a problem. You I mean, I guess you could have done some more investigation and figure out what they actually wanted Milo for. Because who knows? You never know. That could have been some shady shit. And you don't know.
Yeah, okay. So it wasn't like run a cart from this store to this store all day to get 5 silver or something.
No, I will probably say that obviously because you guys pushed the Milo disappearance thing to last, I had to improvise, and that ended up with Lawless dead. So if you guys had done things in the proper order,
I'm upset about that.
NPC probably would not have died.
Because when you said earlier that Lawless was going to go into the tavern and say Milo's missing, I was like, fuck, we could have saved her? God damn.
Yeah.
I am upset about that.
Oh, well, you know what? It works out that way better. You know, they say pain, like the best wizards are those who have suffered great in their lives.
Well, this barbarian
we
at
just
20 is going to go back and beat the fuck out of that wizard and make them really feel pain.
Well, hey, there you go. It's one door closed, another door open. Another person got thrown off of a cliff. It happens.
Milo is Anakin Skywalker confirmed. We should probably kill him like
basically
now, just to be sure. That did not end well. On to the next question. Ooh, how would you describe your DM style?
My DM style. Some people would call it confrontational or antagonistic. It's not. Yeah, well, certainly dickish. But I think the thing is I just like to create playgrounds, and I like interesting outcomes, and I definitely do not shy away. Like, I don't really believe in plot armor. You know, anyone can die if I feel it works. And that's probably saying something, because like one of my favorite tabletop RPGs of all time is Cyberpunk 2020. And if anyone has ever played Cyberpunk 2020, that is a high lethality game. Like, you take 8 points of damage to a limb, you lose that limb. If that 8 points of damage goes to your head, that's like double damage, and that's enough to kill you outright. So like, life is cheap. And the sad truth is, like, life is hard in real life.
Life needs things to live.
Yes, and that also means those things have to come from somewhere, and that's usually death. So,
but Cyberpunk, I just realized that Cyberpunk 2020 was last year. It was pretty dystopian, I would say. It was not really highly advanced technology. I did not have a giant mech, and I certainly was not a hacker. So a little disappointed on that one.
But I got the the books for Cyberpunk Red. I'm kind of interested how that'll work out. I skimmed it, and it seems like they got rid of the old damage system, and it's like wounds, something similar to hit points. So we'll see.
Doesn't Fate use wounds?
Not exact. Well, they do kind of. They have damage boxes they have mental damage and physical damage. And so when you actually take damage of that type, you X out the boxes, but you can take wounds that give you penalties, and that lessens the amount of damage that has to go to that track. Which is another reason why I like Fate, because like, it really doesn't take much to take you out of the game, and there are real penalties for taking injuries. So I'm a big Fate fan too, and so maybe we'll do something Fate related soon in a one shot.
I like it for its realism in that sense, but my constant fear of every character I make dying makes me like, I want to make a game where I'm not going to die because something stupid happens, and it wasn't my fault. But I have another interjection of stats. This one is not a question of spelling or of how you pronounce things. This one is based off of damage, because I skimmed over damage last time for certain things. Because you're the DM, and I don't really want to give you your stats. But you, as a Dungeon Master, have rolled 2 22s. The sacred number.
Yeah.
I'd say I don't keep
Sacred
track
number.
of them, but I keep track of the ones you say. So 2 of those. It is the 22nd of July, everyone. So this is an important date. We should always mention the 22s, where Arthur has 2
The fates
of
have
those.
aligned.
Caleb has 1. Izal has 1. And the DM has 2 of them. Whatever. That's not important. What is important is the fact that you have dealt a lot of damage. I've kept track of the damage you've done as the DM. I did separate Mizak from this number because I feel like he's more of a NPC.
Yeah,
he's party damage. That's not NPC damage.
Yeah, you can tell. He's got a green ring around him, which means he counts as the party.
So, I have a question for you. If
Okay.
you were to cram all of the DM's damage he's done so far, minus Mizak, because Mizak is separate, and you placed him in the alignment of damage of the party between Arthur, Gander, Volred, Gorbek, Caleb, and Izal, who would he be ahead of, and who would he be behind? Like, so out of like Gorbek, Caleb, and Izal, number them and stick yourself somewhere in there.
So you want me, in the terms of total damage, to say where I fall?
Yeah, are you number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, or number 6, or number 7? Number 7 means you are as bad as Caleb and Gorbek.
No, I think I've done some damage. I've landed some blows. So I would say 3. I would think that I think Art and Volred have probably edged me out, but probably by like a couple points.
So you're going to place yourself in 3rd place.
I'm going to put myself in 3rd place.
3rd place. Well, I will say
I've probably done more damage than everyone else combined.
Arthur and Volred both edged you out. Arthur barely with 55 compared to your 53. You did beat Gorbek and Caleb because they practically don't fight. And you did beat Gander, who... it's Gander. That's it. Unfortunately, you are in 4th place, not 3rd, because Izal is in 1st place with 83.
Whoa!
Yeah, Izal's in front. I don't know why.
So what you're saying is I got to do some more damage. That's what I'm
pump
hearing.
out some more damage. I'm upset the fact that I've only taken 4.
Well, here's the thing. I have, like you said, training wheels. The gloves have been on because I didn't want to kill anyone this early in the game. But you guys are level 2 now, soon to be level 3, and you know lethality in this game ramps up quick. You have left the tutorial area. Let's go back to the that's all I'm gonna say.
It's grind.
You guys left Tutorial Island, and you now are in zones that you can hit PvP.
Yeah. Mizak has dealt 27 points of damage. So if you
so
put Mizak's number with yours, you would be at 80 points. Still behind me, as I have dealt more damage than all of your NPCs.
Yes, okay, but since I am Mizak and I would count, where does Mizak rank?
Number 2, behind me.
So I am the number 2 player and the number 4 overall, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, if you add the DM and Mizak together, you are still in 2nd place.
Yes.
Mizak at 27.
I like where this is going.
Mizak at 27
are the humans?
just behind the DM. But yeah, that was the stat I wanted to put up because I didn't go over the DM stats because you weren't here. I'll talk to the DM stats when you're here. On to another question from the chat. Eric, what would have happened if we had the rock climbing equipment instead of going over the bridge when going after Milo? Or Milo? I don't think we decided. Was it Milo or Milo? Milo?
It's Milo, but that one NPC mispronounced his name, calling him Milosh.
Well, that was another
Valerian.
thing. Like, what the fuck was that Milosh? That was in our chat on the side. It's like, did you just say Milosh?
Yes. Yes, and that is a thing where, and I did that on purpose, because that is, Master Valerian straight up just not having bothered to know this kid's name yet.
Yeah, he's totally...
He's like, oh yeah, Milosh, and it's just like that is intended to show how like relatively little he cares really at this point.
Good old mitochondria. He's the powerhouse of the party.
Which is, it's unfortunate because Master Valerion is actually a real good guy.
Hello, Pachinko. Welcome to Jason with Jace. I sent
Pachinko. Who is Pachinko?
He's from another group. I had sent an in.
Okay.
One.
Well, welcome, Pachinko.
I was a little curious because the Milos comment was like, "Is that like Milo's name and he just never told us?" Or
nope.
It's just bad. That had a cult feel, by the way. Everyone's in robes. They were serving people as children. That was weird.
Yeah. So
felt like a cult.
Yeah, Master Valerian is kind of
actually
weird.
It felt like Dionysus was there. That was a very party.
A little bit, because and that's the thing, because Master Valerian, I kind of hinted to this in the game, and like Caleb knows a lot more about his backstory. He's a nobleman, and he grew up in Ariella, and he did not grow up in the ring. He grew up in the Athenium. Like he walked the same. He was in the same circles as like Rydian and all of those people, and then was a very accomplished enchanter until
enchanter,
for some reason,
not the most noble of schools of magic, by the way.
No, and like Caleb would tell you, Valerian has this nasty habit. He has a kind of a bad reputation because he is not above enchanting someone to give him like discounts on stuff or to run errands for him. Like he abuses his power a little bit.
Fuck the establishment.
And so he is not above abusing his power. He sees it as a tool, and he does use it to enhance his own lifestyle. But because he was classically trained in magic in the Athenium, in terms of like raw magical knowledge, he is one of the most accomplished mages in that ring, and so that's part of the reason why he tends to have more apprentices at one point in time than most other Ruka do. It's because he has a lot of classically trained knowledge that other Ruka just can't give him.
You said Ruka do. I don't know why that made me laugh. That's not a word.
Ruka.
Next question for you. Again, we're going to go with a question for you. How would you describe your creative process when it comes to world building? I will put a little part in here. Every city Eric makes is built on top of an elven ruin.
Not all of them.
It's a
not all of them.
All of them
House Select wasn't.
We don't know. We never dug under it. If we
That's
dug
true.
under it,
That's true.
Deep enough.
No, one more thing.
Ruin.
No. In fact, like even in the last campaign, you guys made that comment. Terza, Summerness. That's it. Those were the only two cities.
They're the only two we asked about.
Elburn. There were 3 total cities in that whole fucking continent of over 50 cities that you guys know about that were built on Elven Ruin. Yes.
And
so
the massive void of magic was the shattering or the sundering. Was that an ancient elven city that did that, correct?
Yeah,
Therefore, every island is built on an ancient elven city.
Well, in this campaign, there are tons of elven ruins, yes, and you guys will probably get to delve some of those. So, yeah, look, man. I like elves. They're the original race in my world. They had civilizations lasting tens of thousands of years before any other race was really prominent. Dwarves, I think, are the only ones that come anywhere close to the history that elves do.
So if you'd like to elaborate on your world building process, I just wanted to make sure I got in there that everything is ancient elven.
Yeah. So I found something years ago that... Okay, so first off, 2 things. One is I consider myself a procedural dungeon master. I use a lot of online generator tools to generate a lot of depth. Partially because like you go on like Dungeon, and you can go on like Chaotic Shiny or Kassoon or some of those other places, and you can click generate, and it gives you information, but it also populates it with a whole lot of shit that most DMs never think about and take a ridiculous amount of time in order to plan out. And so I like to randomly generate shit until I find something that's reasonably close that I like or gives me an idea. Then I can steal that, and then I change the bits that I want to change.
Mm-hmm.
But on a more macro scale, I use something called primes. Yeah, macro big. Which, yeah, primes, which is my own kind of little derivation of perms, which is an old like social studies kind of term when you're like studying ancient civilizations. This is how you lump up their stuff. And basically that's like political, religious, infrastructure, military, educational, and social, I think. But basically you have these categories, and you can just kind of go in and fill out in each of those locations any information you can. So you can ask like my locals in the game, like Arthur and Calum. So like when we were doing Ari and Kilmo and Bevo, I have a thread in there where I just have like these huge massive walls of text that are just dumped on here, which is like, here's 2,000 words on the religion of the Athorian Isles.
I saw that. I'm like, no chance in fucking hell they're gonna read. I'm not reading that. I'm not from here. Screw that.
But and I don't necessarily expect anyone to have it, because first off, I had it there for me, and so it's just like, cool, I'm going to share it anyway. And if the players want to engage in that, it's there. But it's the biggest thing is, like for Calum especially, his character is part of a society to where religion is kind of a big deal, and so I wanted him to have that information available should he feel he needs to, and that he shouldn't have to ask me about shit. I should just provide this, and then he can choose to interact with it, and if I bring something up, he's got a reference source. Because I enjoy it if like I say something, like I bring something up and a character's got a question, and then another character is able to answer that question instead of the DM having to come in. I love those moments because A, it tells me that the player read backstory stuff, and B, that just becomes more player and player interaction, and I can just kind of fade in the background and let shit happen.
That's always fun when the players can start bouncing information off each other. Anytime the DM can just lean back, it's like, cool, let them just play for a little while, and I'll just watch and see how they interact. Like when like a player goes into a room and there's two chests, and one chest is open, one's closed, and one guy wants to go to touch the chest, but it says, no, it's a mimic, don't touch that. And so you're like, okay, I'll shoot the chest open to blast it just in case, and it's not a mimic. And then the player said it was a mimic, goes over to the open chest and touches it, and that one was the mimic, and they get egg on their face. I was making fun of Momo because he did that.
Yeah. But I guess in that sense, I like to think macro, and I focus on the stuff that I think is important, because I think if you know this information, like by doing that kind of macro level, if I have to scale that down to a local area like Houselet, then I already have a pretty good idea how things work on the overall. And so if I'm much less likely to just improv something and then end up introducing contradictory information, as long as I kind of define those boundaries and knowingly play inside those boundaries.
Yeah, I use the same a lot of the same generators you do. It's a similar thing as well, in that I'll generate something I really like, but there'll be something in there that I don't like. For instance, the name. The name could be really stupid or hard to pronounce or hard to spell. I'm like, I'm not gonna put this because I'm gonna say the name. They're gonna ask me how to spell it. I gotta look up the thing how to spell it, and I'm not confident in why it's spelled that way. So like, let's just shuffle until I find a cool name I like. But like, there'll be different things, and that's why a lot of the cities in my world have a lot of halflings in them, because it just happened to generate a shit ton of halflings in all these cities. Like, all the store owners are halflings. Like, this wasn't intentional. They just randomly did that.
Gloucester in general, they're a bunch of
fucking
halflings.
halfling. Yeah, they're just everywhere. Halflings love business, and business is good when goblins aren't falling off of your roofs. On to the next question. I feel like that's good. Generators are great. You're a generator type of DM, and I do the same thing.
Yeah, if you are a dungeon master out there and you are looking to quickly add detail, but you're not sure where to start with some good random generators, and then you'll have an idea about the kind of shit you need to be prepping. And then if you want to go custom, fine. Just use the output of the random generator as a template. But, I mean, sometimes it's nice to use a random generator because it'll give you stuff that you didn't think to use. And you should learn how to embrace contradictions. Because some of the best story stuff that has ever come across my table has been trying to take two ideas that on the face don't seem like they match, and then finding some kind of a story or excuse to make them match.
Yeah, like how you get a potion for 25 gold.
That's just bad at math.
Slide that one in there.
It's late at night, guys. I spend all day doing testing for software. I'm dead sometimes.
Next question. Ooh, a question for me. Oh, I saw this one come across on chat. Why do you have 4 photos of Izal in the rotation for characters art on the main stream? That's because there are 4 pictures of Izal and only 1 picture of everyone else. So if there were more pictures of everyone else, I'd have more to circulate. There's only 1. So
the TLDR for that is Jace actively tries to find artists to do artwork of his characters, and everyone else just waits for like our one artist friend Britt, who does like amazing art for our stream. They just wait for her to do it for them.
Why don't we have the Mizek on the scrolling? Because the Mizek was not shared. Mizek was not shared in the main group with us, so I don't have a Mizek
I'm
one.
sure it was.
And Mizek,
it was shared in general. That's the only way I could get it. Or I guess she sent it to him. It doesn't matter. We'll get it. We need some Mizek. We still need Mizek in a sailor outfit, though.
Just do a really bad, like, drawing over it, like MS Paint, with just blue and, like, a sailor outfit. And I'll put, like, the Mizek, and then the next picture will be Mizek in the shitty sailor outfit. It's like if I had tried to edit over it, which I might do. Send me the I'll get the Mizek one, and I will
Black Tower's dress app. It's like you can just drag clothes onto the characters. And... Oh, well.
Let's see. Next question. What was the most surprising moment of this last session? I know my answer. That was for you, by the way. It's for Eric.
Yeah, I figured. Most surprising thing of last session. I don't know. I was surprised how upset Gander got. Like, I mean, I guess in hindsight, I should have known that Gander would have just completely deflated. But yes, apparently Gander has some existential crisis stuff, and I'm like, ooh, okay. Apparently this was not the character to pull this with, because without this quest line, they've got nothing left.
The sheer amount of depression afterwards. I like to think that this is just an opening just to be angry all the time to everyone. Like, yeah, show all these smart asses. The naked Gorbeck was pretty good. That was pretty surprising. Just got naked.
Yeah, naked goblin.
And he was naked for a while.
You said surprising, though.
Yeah, I guess that was
surprising. Bevo stripping his character down in the middle of a filled room is not surprising.
The mentioning in the comments that Arthur can't read.
Also not that surprising.
Well, I didn't know Arthur couldn't read until he said it in the stream. I was like, huh, I guess he can't read.
Yeah, because that was probably one of the... Like, that's a very good idea, point there, because, like, when I got all of Arthur's backstory stuff, I was expecting this wizened, like, world-weary traveler guy who is just like ready to start a new chapter of his life, and that is not what I got. And I'm like, wow, okay.
Nope.
Ari is playing art like very different than what I was expecting. You know?
I think the obvious answer to the most surprising thing that happened was clearly fuck the establishment. The yelling out of that and just going off on a tirade, that's his form of enjoying a party, is to go anti-establishment just the entire time. That was the most surprising turn of events because Gander's a coward, 100% through and through.
Yeah, Aaron leaned into that one pretty hard.
The fact that Britt
that's like,
Studios
I'm going to
got
do
that
this
out
for
pretty
you.
quickly.
Oh, I know. And yeah, because it's like, oh, I'm going to do this, and this is going to be fun. And then Aaron leaned into it, and I'm like, whoa, nope, okay, never mind. Dean is yanking that back.
He's a changed halfling. Or, well, I don't know. That was
it's
one day.
It's been a crazy day for him. You know, like, this whole thing has just been a lot. You know, it's like driving, 10 hours cross country and then having a wreck when you're 20 miles from home. It's just like at 3 a.m. I know, but it's like you're 20 miles from home. It's 3 a.m. You got in a wreck after you've been driving 10 hours straight. That's just a bad day.
Statistically, most of the wrecks happen within like 5 minutes of your house. But I think that might be skewed based on the fact that statistically you're around your house more often. So,
yeah,
more likely to happen. I
yeah,
saw
ironic.
more set. Yeah.
Isn't it ironic?
Yeah. She does have a Instagram where she puts all of her art on there. She's an amazing artist. Follow it in the chat, and I think all of our art is on there as well.
Yeah, and I think she also streams when she's doing that shit live. So, yeah, I think so. Britt may have to clarify on that, but I think she does do some streaming from time to time. So if you do that, you'll probably get to see the art before we do.
So I have a few rapid fire. I know you saw these before, but I want to know if you can spell them. Spell Eledin.
Eledin?
Yep. ELEDHAN? Or no, that one's EN. You got it on the second try. Eledin is correct with the EN at the end. Corsafel.
Corsafel. Corsafel. L. That one has two L's.
Sure?
Pretty sure.
Once again, you got it on the second try.
These are all random generator names.
I was because there's no chance in hell that someone would, in their right mind, spell it these ways. Isgarth? Is that an I?
Isgarth.
Isgarth. So it wasn't I.
That's Isgarth.
Isgarth. Spell Isgarth.
Iysgarth.
That is correct.
First
try.
And yes, and the thing about Isgarth, Fernmorden, and Auchenfirth is that those names are actually very specific. Like when you break them apart, they're actually words in legitimate languages, and I specifically picked the names of those, and so that way they would kind of match the cities a little bit, in case you guys ever went there. So those names are significant.
The last one is spelled this word that I cannot pronounce, Auchenfirth.
Auchenfirth.
Sure.
Auchenfyrth. Auchenfirth.
I'm guessing that's correct because I think I put a W for this because I can't fucking read that shit.
Yeah. Aachen is German and Firth is
I put a
Welsh,
W
Irish?
because that was
yes,
super
that's
small.
Supposed to be a U.
That was super small. I was trying to read that on the map by zooming in. So, you managed to spell these crazy words correctly. I'm assuming you're cheating somehow. He's pulled up the map some way.
Well, keep in mind, I have detailed a lot of these cities, and so I have seen these words
Spelled
in
them
print
multiple
a
times.
lot. A lot.
Interplanetary purpley flying dragon. Well, we're getting close to it. We have a few more moments here, and I have a few questions that are more specific for the Dungeon Master because I don't have a lot more for the chat. So I've got some very specific ones for you. So, assuming that we're all going to keep playing this, and you mentioned in the pre-chat about a potential big bad evil guy, which, who knows. Are you planning this to go from 1 to 10, 1 to 14? I'm hoping for like a 3+ year campaign again. Are you basing this based off of time or based off of a level set?
I am not, because here's the truth. Like last campaign is I looked at stuff and I looked at the overall threads, the small arcs that I wanted to play with. And I said, okay, I can get this done in, this many levels per arc. And so that said, when I run out of material, they'll probably be 16 or 17. And so in my mind, I said, okay, I have got enough, and this is like at level 5. I'm like, I got enough material for this arc that I've got planned to take us to 16 or 17. And so in this case, though, I don't have that much planned because so much of this is coming down to what you guys want to do on a whim. So, and that's part of the reason why I have prepped a lot more macro stuff for this campaign than I did last campaign, because I don't know where you guys are going to go. I know potentials, like there are, like you could get entangled with the Athenium and that whole power structure there, but I'm not going to force you guys in that route because you guys said you didn't want necessarily an overarching campaign thing like that.
Yeah, but we lie.
You lie. But but the point is in the last campaign, that stuff is stuff that I had designed and was going to feature in the campaign, and it was going to make its way in the campaign. In this case, it's like I have no intention of forcing those storylines on you. If they happen to develop that way, cool, then that stuff will get slot in. DLC content was, just downloaded. And we'll go that route. But, well, at least this one's, not in a purchase gate.
I bought a loot box.
Subscription line. But who knows? If you guys decide you want to, join some of the lore keepers or some of the other adventuring guilds that delve into these ancient ruins and try and figure out more about magic and the rift and stuff like that, there's a whole lot of stuff I can do there, depending on what you guys end up wanting to investigate. Who knows? That's really what it comes down to. Is I've even prepped. Who knows? Maybe somehow you guys find a way to get into Tybel Say. Who knows? But all of that is on the table. I'm not taking anything off the table, and it'll just come down to so much of I'm laying down track as you guys pick your directions.
Just one step ahead of us. That's all you gotta be.
Yes. Except I have to be one step ahead of you in a multi-dimensional way.
Building it like a spider.
Campaign.
And then we can backtrack and go down a different route. Another question for Eric. Getting to the end of Tier 1 play and getting ready to start Tier 2, that's going to be a few more levels. What is your favorite tier to play in or to DM in? I like to play in every one that's not level 2 and 1. I don't like those levels.
Well, I don't know. So it depends. They all have their fun aspects. I tend to like lower tiers, specifically because players are just kind of built in more cautious. They're less likely to want to jump into a fight, and they're more likely to try and resolve things through social interaction or puzzles and stuff like that. And that is a measure of the lethality. So gameplay at those levels can be a lot of fun and have a lot of conflict and tension built into them. But higher level tiers can go too. But that's one of my main reasons why I'm not that huge of a fan of one shots when we have really high levels. Is because I feel like when you get up to like third and fourth tier, like you should have a pretty good concept of how your character works, and you should have a flow. And so they just kind of break immersion like that for me. Like I think if you're going to play third and fourth tier, it needs to either be a character you've played a lot, like this is your horror character that goes into every single one shot that you've got, or um, yeah, or it has, or it's a character that you have in a campaign. And I personally like that more anyway. Like there are characters that I have set aside on D&D Beyond that are earmarked to where these will never appear in a one shot because these are characters I want to play in a campaign. I enjoy the idea of them enough to where I will not cheapen them by doing them in a one shot.
My favorite is that little 9 to 14 range where you get to the fun part of the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Monster Manual, where like throw something strong against them and just see what happens.
Yeah, I mean that's fun too, but when you get up to those levels, you also have a lot more opportunity for combat to be underwhelming because players have a lot more tools at their disposal to remove certain things that you as a dungeon master use to keep things interesting.
Bone claws, multiple of them.
And so I feel the higher the tier you go, the less you can rely on the rules and the more creative you have to be. Okay. And lack of combat prep becomes more and more evident the higher level you get.
Oh yeah, especially with spellcasters in the party. I think the spellcasters are what changed the tier list. Like melee fighters and barbarians and rogues, yeah, they do damage. They get up and they hit things. Spellcasters that can warp reality and just remove people, that's what you have to prep for. And when you have more than one spellcaster in the party, you really got to prep for it. And then they wonder why the beholder's always looking at them. And they go, well, fuck, dude, you counterspell. I don't get to use my disintegration ray on you. Anyway, as Eric walks away as he is in a underground bunker, we are getting to the end of this session here for Jace with Jace with Eric. Thank you again for coming on.
Dogs are just so needy.
They're 4 legs and everything. Some of them don't even have 4 legs. They're still needy. Thank you again for coming on. It'll probably be another month and a half before you show up until I start flipping around the script on people. But by then, we will be level 1 again because a lot of our characters probably died. Probably TPK.
Yeah, so if you guys have any of those last-minute super poignant questions, you better ask them now.
I have a question for you. Who is on your top of the Deadpool?
Top of the Deadpool. If I kill all of you at the same time, do I measure that by like who dies first?
I think you have to go by who dies first. Legally.
Okay. All right. Who is most likely to die first? I still think it's going to be Caleb.
He did learn not to just walk away from combat, to disengage from it.
Yeah, that's true. But he is a squishy boy, and more than that.
So is the monk. Has the same amount of hit points.
Yeah, but the monk can disengage as a bonus action, and
he's got 2 key points. The wizard.
Yeah, but we'll have to see because I don't know. I I know Kilmo. If he gets Calum up to like certain levels where he gets to start doing some of those, tricksy type spells, assuming I let him take those spells, then his squishiness is gonna disappear a little bit. Yeah, because he'll have some in like creative ways of getting out.
Tricky magic casters. Well, thank you for giving us your obviously truthful answer that you'll target Caleb more often in combat.
Well, I need to target Izal more often because, Izal's player is being a real asshole and telling me I don't hit her enough.
Well, every hit point that I take is something that someone else doesn't take. I get attacked. I'm just...
Or I can lay down like a breath weapon and just hit multiple of you.
I have advantage on dex saves now, though. This sucks. You're going to take some damage. If you take me out, you're going to kill everyone else.
Good to know.
Give me a con save. Although I'm proficient in those, so you probably shouldn't do those. I recommend intelligence, although that's not my charisma saving though. Ooh,
Rainjackers?
You could banish me. Banish me. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've given you ideas to kill me. Thank you for coming on to Adjacent with Jace. This episode will be on live on Saturday, roughly around 12 o'clock, as I get this. No editing, just post it up there eventually. If you would like to see the previous episodes of Adjacent with Jace and the episodes of Adventures in Athoria, they are on our YouTube channel where you can watch all the sessions, 1 through 8 now, and really binge watch your way in case you miss something. I recommend putting out like 1.5 speed and just speeding through there. They talk fast and funny. It's more entertaining that way. But thank you, Eric, for coming on. Thank you, chat, for coming and asking the questions that are necessary to keep him entertained as he's in his deep, dark bunker. And I am Jace, and I look forward to next Tuesday as we adventure more in Athoria with Session or Chapter 9. Fuck the establishment, I'm guessing is the catchphrase for this. But
yeah,
thank you.
Maybe.
Bye, everyone. Peace and deuces. Have a good
Bye.
Walking hand in hand on the ocean floor, down deep we wander. Louder we sing, no there is no cure.